Hi friends! How are you all doing tonight? Happy Tuesday, here we are as always, and thank you for being here. Happy new moon, Sagittarius new moon today. We mentioned that last week, that the moment of the new moon going exact was at like 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it's now like 2 hours later. So we're right in that new moon energy here today on Tuesday during our meditation, which I think is absolutely awesome. So the intention this week, this journey is uniquely mine. This journey is uniquely mine. Looking at coming up with the intention this week, looking at the astrology. As always, I look at all of the transits, I look at where all the planets are, and I just sit with them and I just contemplate the energies, and I don't know, it's not necessarily that I don't always feel that I come up with the intention. I kind of feel like the intention just kind of comes to me, or it just kind of happens. It just kind of works its way out. There could be lots of other intentions too. I think I've mentioned that, and I like to throw that out there every once in a while, that this is not the only intention that we could pull out of the astrology, but this is the one that comes out and kind of speaks to me. So this is where we end up. So this week, the new moon, of course, in Sagittarius at 20 degrees today. So the new moon in new moons in the sign of Sagittarius, just on their own right, without anything else, they can come across very forward thinking, very optimistic, very like lofty ambitions, very much like journey focused, right? Like going the distance, doing all the things. Sagittarius is very, sometimes we get as far as doing the things. Sometimes it's much more of like the planning and like the coming up with the things. Sometimes it's going forward and actually doing the things. So Sagittarius in its own right, it's ruled by Jupiter, right? Jupiter expands things and is the ruler of abundance and positive thinking, and abundance is coming our way. So it would make sense that the fiery home of Jupiter is going to be a lofty place that looks forward and wants to bring new things in, new philosophies, new higher learning and higher knowledges, and just new, not necessarily just like small tidbits of information, but like higher knowledge, higher information, not just like mundane, little like factoids that are like random, maybe useless factoids, but like the higher thinkings of the mind type things with Sagittarius. So fiery, ambitious, creative, that is Sagittarius in its own right. You put the new moon there, and we have a new beginnings there. We have something seeding, something starting in this fiery, lofty place of Sagittarius. We have Mars in the sign of Sagittarius still, so that plays into this new moon as well. We've talked about how Mars has been sitting by the sun for quite a while and the different things that could bring up. Mars is now starting to separating away from the sun and the moon. Excuse me. So it's now more like 7 or 8 degrees away from the sun. So we can't see Mars in the evening sky yet. It will be showing up in the evening as an evening star here eventually. We can't see it quite yet, but Mars is making its way away while still being in the place where the sun is. It's making its way away from the sun. It's starting to separate from the sun. And as it starts to separate from the sun, we get this with all planets. As they start to move away from the sun, they aren't as like overpowered or overcome or like outshined by the sun. It's not that the planets are not able to do their thing and work productively, but when they're near the sun, it's like they are it's like they're succumb to the power of the sun almost. Like it's like I think I've talked about it before about needing like sunglasses on when the light's too bright and you can't see, but once you put those sunglasses on, you can see again. So in this way, since Mars is kind of moving away from the sun, it's kind of increasing excuse me, we have lots of things going through the house right now, so bear with me. So Mars's condition, now that it's moving away from the sun, I see it that it's kind of like its condition is kind of getting better. Mars is getting a little bit stronger in the fact that it's able to have its own action and have its own energy back. It's not so overcome by the sun. So with this Mars co-present with the new moon in Sagittarius, that it has this bettering condition, this bettering quality about it. It feels like it adds this extra fire, this extra kick, this extra maybe motivation or drive, passion of some kind to this new moon. There could be some sort of level of looking to individuate. That is a Mars trait in its own. But there's this extra fiery kick and this extra, just this drive and this motivation with Mars in the same sign as the sun and the moon here. New moon in the sign of Sagittarius, it's ruled by Jupiter. So where is Jupiter at? Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus right now. So we've talked last week, I believe it was, we talked about the reception between Venus and Jupiter and the connection. So new moon is happening in Sagittarius, which is, see if you can follow this chain with me a little bit. New moon in the sign of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus, which is Venus's sign. Okay. Venus, let's look where Venus is. Venus is in the sign of Scorpio right now, which is Mars's sign. And where is Mars? Mars is in Sagittarius, where the new moon is occurring, which is Jupiter's sign. So we still have this where Jupiter relates back to Venus and Venus relates back to Jupiter in a way. So we still have, it's not a mutual reception between the two. They're not in each other's signs, but there's this understanding between Venus and Jupiter. We talked about this last week too with the opposition that we had between those two planets. So we still have this working between the two benefics happening here within this week and within this whole lunar cycle that we have coming up, this new moon that's starting today. So Mars sitting in the sign where the new moon is occurring is, especially with it being slightly further away, it's in that position where it's not close enough to be considered a conjunction. They're more sitting together in the same sign. That's considered more of like a co-presence, so they're around each other, but they're not like stuck to each other. So Mars in the sign of the new moon is going to increase the power of Mars's energy, of that hot drive energy. And then we have Mercury. Mercury is stationing in the sign of Capricorn to go retrograde. By the end of the week, Mercury will be retrograde. So with Mercury sitting at this stationing point at the time of the new moon, that's going to increase Mercury's power too. You see, we have a couple different areas where different planets have increased power for different reasons. Mars is moving further away, is separating from the sun, so it's getting its own energy and its own vibe and its own vitality back. Mercury has been cruising along. It's now in the sign of Capricorn. It's now slowing down, stationing to symbolically start to move backwards and to change direction. So both of these planets are very strong at the time of the new moon here. And you know, Mercury stationing to go retrograde, thinking about what happens during a retrograde. So it's all symbolic. The planets we've talked about before, how the planets, we know they don't actually stop moving and move backwards. But from our point of view, Mercury is quote unquote standing still and coming to a very slow motion right now, and it's going to start to trace its steps back through degrees of Capricorn where it has already laid. So symbolically, Mercury is moving backward, and it's going to recover ground that it has already stepped upon. It's going to go against the natural, against the grain and against the natural flow and the natural movement of the plants through zodiacal order. So you have this Mars that is becoming a little bit more empowered to do its own thing, to have some sort of drive, have some sort of initiation. You have Mercury, which is stationing, so it has its own increased power here to start move backwards and start to rethink and relook at things and have a review of things in a way. And then by the end of the week, after this new moon that we have here, the sun comes into a square with Neptune. So Neptune, we talk a lot about intuition. We talk a lot about getting immersed in things, right? We talk about our connection through spirit by fully immersing ourselves in spirituality. The shadow side of Neptune can be fully immersing yourself in some sort of escapism or something like that that leads to something not all that great. But we can immerse ourselves in things that are really, really good too, right? So we can immerse ourselves in spirit. We can immerse ourselves in connection to the other side. We can immerse ourselves in these things as well. And this is a big part of Neptune, where like the intuition part of it and the spirituality part of it comes. With fully immersing yourself into that spirit realm or that other energy, whatever it is that you want to call it. I find that Neptune often brings up questions of like the questions of higher life purposes. So, bigger life questions, like purpose and why we exist, our life path, evaluation of the things that we've done and the things that we haven't done, those larger existential questions about what happens after this, where am I supposed to be, am I on the right path, am I moving in the right direction, and having the question part between here is the square. So, the sun, we look at the sun and it can represent our soul and our purpose in its own right. It's the solar energy, it's the energetic body that is amongst our whole entire solar system and amongst our whole entire being, right? So our soul within us, that is our solar body that is within all of us. And then we come into the square. The square is that scratchy aspect. Remember, we say that it's of the nature of Mars. So it brings a little bit of uneasiness or confrontation or a little bit of conflict or a little bit of, I'm not quite sure if this is exactly the way it is or not. Like a little bit of a questioning type aspect to it. So, I feel like there's a lot of strong energy. There's a lot of different, subtly strong energies that are going on here with this new moon. And the journey is uniquely mine. I feel like the aspects that we have this week, I feel like they're very, very personal. I guess they're always a possibility that they're very personal based on our own transits and our own placements and things like that. But I don't know, this journey is uniquely mine. Excuse me. Sagittarius is a place where we find our own, deep inner motivations, okay? So it's fiery, it's philosophical, it's moving forward, and the things that represent those feelings are different to each and every one of us. So I feel like Sagittarius in its own right brings very personal philosophical things and tones. Mars is a personal planet, and it relates very, very closely to the things that we desire, the things that we want, and the ambitions, and the things that we reach to achieve, the journey that we are all on here. And the Sun and Neptune. These existential questions about the journey, about the path, about which way are we going, which way should we be going. Very deeply personal. So it seems to me that this new moon here has the ability or the desire to make changes through having the motivation, through Mars and through the fire signs. It seems like there could be an ability or desire to make changes or to move on to the next level or to the next step through Mercury changing its mind, Mercury changing, stopping and stationing, moving towards retrograde, starting to have maybe a different viewpoint or seeing things a little bit differently. and, you know, the evaluation of our life path and purpose, meaning, and those higher existential questions through the sun's contact, through our soul's contact with Neptune this week. It all feels very like lofty, very up here, very much like up and up energy, moving up and up. Sometimes for that, you know, all of that like upper energy can be a lot for some people. So I do want to note that sometimes when there's so much of this like upper energy and so much of your energy is kind of like the downer energy, you know, even if you're just in the moment, it seems like that can be very, I don't know, it's like when all that upper energy is around you, then it can kind of like push you down even further. So I think that's something to be kind of mindful of. It seems to me that there's lots of personal journey reflection points within this new moon and with the chart that we have going on here. There's moving energy. There's Mars. Mars is the planet of movement in its own right. The new moon is in a fire sign, a sign of movement. Mercury is moving direction by stopping and moving forward and stopping to move backward in retrograde fashion. And yeah, I just think that these are things that are very personal to our own journey, and there can be lots of reflections within this. There can be lots of like realizations, and all of these things, these like realizations and these reflections, they're all very personal to each of us, and you know, the journey is personal to each and every one of us, right? My personal belief is that the journey that we are on is a journey that we chose for ourselves, whether it is hard or easy as that is to believe right now. Our souls have, I don't know, I think whatever we are, wherever we reside when we are not incarnate in a physical body, because I believe that there's multiple lifetimes, wherever that place is that the eternal part of you resides, there has to be so much more knowing there. There has to be so much more comprehension and knowing, and just like the full picture, right? It seems to me that our souls want to experience everything. It seems to me that there are probably lots of different places and times and things to incarnate into. I think the human experience is just one of them, and quite frankly, I have been told by loved ones that have passed on that when you incarnate to Earth, this is one of the hardest places to be. So I truly believe that, whether you do or not. So the journey is uniquely mine. I think there's lots of personal reflection points for each of us this week with the new moon, and I think that's absolutely wonderful, as that this is the start of the last lunation that's going to bring us through the rest of the year. So new moon starts in Sagittarius today. In 2 weeks we have a full moon in the sign of Cancer. So you can kind of pinpoint that in your chart too. If you look at where the seeding moment is, definitely hard mode. I'm looking in the comments here and I'm seeing some agreeings. It's like being on difficulty mode, right? Or like on the hardest level, when there's all of this energy, but it's pushing you, it's your journey, you know, it's getting you down your own journey and your own path. These reflection points, they're there for us if we want them, but we don't have to take them either. That's all part of the human journey and the human experience too, right? So, like I said, this is the last new moon that we have for 2023. So I think having all of these personal reflection points and like all these moving points and all of these this flexibility points here within the sign of Sagittarius, I think it allows us to set us up for what we want to bring in, reflecting on what we want to bring into 2024, since this cycle is going to carry us into the next year. And doesn't this sound a whole lot like what people try to do at the very end of the year and the beginning of the year here, at least around here in the United States where I'm from? People are reflecting on what they've done, what they haven't done. They're thinking and setting goals for what they want to do. This new moon feels very much like it's playing right into where our mundane calendar life is taking every one of us. We talked back how Jupiter relates back to Venus being in the sign of Taurus. So Venus and Scorpio, we've talked about this, but it is good to mention the depth and the layers and that subconscious material that could be a part of this. Something somehow hidden or obscured material that is kind of coming forward. And, if there's something that comes up, maybe that's part of the new beginning and the new moon here that you have. Sometimes we have to release things in order to start something new, right? Or to make space for something new. So there is that depth layer to be mindful of here. But overall, this new moon here is so lofty, so optimistic, so forward-thinking, so motivated with Mars sitting right there. And the things that we create with Jupiter being in the sign of Taurus, first of all, being in Taurus, there's always that like material aspect to it. So you can always bring the monetary type situations into Taurus. I like to extend it into like all of the sensory experiences. So you could bring in all of those sensual, sensory experiences and material type things into the new moon. But more importantly is the solidness and the fixed characteristics of Taurus, okay? The things that we start when Taurus is involved, they are long lasting. They have longevity. These are things that hold on. Think of the bull that just steps one step at a time and how sturdy and how steady the bull is as it moves slowly, one step at a time. So although Sagittarius is like, I don't know, like rocket fuel, like you're sitting right on the back of the rocket and you're about to light it off and you're about to zoom right to the moon. There's this a little bit of grounding and tetheringness within the sign of Taurus too. So it's like, let's be lofty, let's be ambitious, let's move forward and let's have all of these higher thoughts and higher perceptions coming about. But let's have a little common sense with it too. Hopefully, right? Hopefully it's not that we are indulging too much in the touring and things because the Sagittarian part of us is telling us to live life to its absolute fullest and enjoy, which is another part of Sagittarius, but it's all part of the balancing part there. So overall, the energy of this new moon, I love it. I like it. I think it's really, really good for this time of year. And I think it's reminding us that the journey is uniquely mine. I think it's reminding us that what works for me and what brings things forward for me isn't always going to bring things forward for you. And what works for you might have never even occurred to me in my own mind. So, I don't know no two of us get to this destination the exact same way, in my opinion, I don't think. But yeah, I think that's all part of what makes it more beautiful, is that it's unique and different for all of us. So it's like that whole thing where like everybody's unique and special and different, but nobody is at the same time, and everybody is because nobody is. And yeah, that whole thing that always kind of threw me for a loop. So today, let's focus on our own journey. Let's focus on what we want to create within this new moon, within this fiery new moon, and you have the full freedom of expression here, okay? Our intention this week is so widespread, such a wide blanket statement. The journey is uniquely mine, that you can go absolutely anywhere, which is in total Sagittarian fashion too, right? So, with that, let's get ready to move into our meditation. Let's see, we'll move our intention off of there. We have our intentional candle, as always, a white candle. It allows you to amplify it into whatever energies it is that you feel you need to transform it into. You can take white and you can make this candle any color that you would like it to be. If you have your own candle, I encourage you to bring that out, but you don't have to either. We can all share this one as well. So, take a nice deep breath, and I'm going to light the intentional candle, and as I do, I'm going to recite the intention in my head and then out loud. I invite you to do so with me. I'm going to light intentional candle here. Thinking the intention. And then as we see the candle ignite and the flame grow, so does our intention. This journey is uniquely mine. This journey is uniquely mine. As we settle into that intention, as you repeat it to yourself out loud or in your head, settle into that phrase. See how empowering that phrase is on its own. This journey is uniquely mine. I'm going to read a comment as we settle in here. One of our comments on Facebook says, "All roads lead to the same, and our decisions are just detours or our unique paths." All roads lead to the same. Our decisions are just detours or our unique paths. So very, very true. The journey is uniquely yours, but it leads you to exactly where you need to be at exactly the right moment. And as we take this journey together into this meditation, as we step into this space during the new moon, the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of the archer, the sign of the visionary, the sign that is looking for the speck of light no matter how much darkness surrounds. We take this journey and we settle into our body. And as we settle into our body, I want you to take a moment to recognize the level of energy that your body currently has. Check in with yourself and see how you're doing today. Has the journey left you energized or feeling slightly depleted? Do you feel as though you've been able to accomplish what you need to? Things that are still unfinished will be there waiting for you. Leave them aside for now. Spending a moment checking in with your physical body and your energetic body. This journey is yours and yours alone. So however you get in touch with your own energy is completely fine. Digest. Slowly breathing in and slowly breathing out. Aiming to have each breath a little bit deeper than the one before it. And each exhale, releasing a little bit more stress or tension. And now I want you to think about the first goal that comes to mind. What is something you want to accomplish? Don't overthink it. The first thing that comes to your mind. Take that. Take that with you on your journey. As we spend some time reflecting on our own journey thus far. I want you to think about that goal or ambition that you are holding with you right now. I want you to consider your journey thus far. What steps have you taken towards achieving or moving towards this goal of yours? Recognize the actions and the efforts, no matter how small. Perhaps your starting point is that you've named it as a goal and you've identified it as something that you desire and something that you want to obtain or succeed at. Perhaps it's that you've taken mental steps or actual physical steps. If you have any thoughts about something more you should have done by now, something else that you should have accomplished around this thing, let that go for now. Let's focus on what you have accomplished. Let's focus on what you have done. Now, as you focus on the positive actions, positive energy that is around you, building onto this goal, onto this thing, this ambition that you hold in front of you. We think about their journey forward. So now consider your next steps, your next actions. And now I want you to see yourself, physically see yourself doing what it is that you know you need to do. And then as you see yourself completing these steps, you then visualize yourself obtaining the goal, obtaining the desire, or the thing that you are focusing on. The accomplishment is yours. And it's yours right now. enjoying the visualization of the fruits of your labor. Picturing, feeling, and observing that which is a part of your journey. Now, as you come back to your own being, you still see your accomplishment. You still see that goal happening in front of you. Bringing ourselves back to our current position, still focus on what is in front of us, downwind, down in the journey. And the path there, our path to the goal that we can see in front of us, is laid out so clearly. We might not know everything that comes along that path, everything we'll encounter, but the path is clear and you can see it in front of you. Straight line all the way down to where you can see that visualization happening in front of you. And as long as you have the clear path, you can get there. As long as you know where you are going, you can handle anything that comes about in your journey. This is our last lunar seeding point of 2023. This energy you are cultivating right now, you are going to bring with you into 2024. Before closing our meditation, I want you to picture and envision your goal in front of you one last time. Keep that image in your mind's eye with you all week. As we come through the energy of the new moon and the fiery sign of Sagittarius with Mars, the fiery planet there as well. Know that you have the energy and the vitality to move forward. And bringing that energy with you from this new moon through the entirety of this lunar cycle with you as the moon starts to gain its light, as we come to the full moon in the sign of Cancer, and as the lunar cycle ends in the sign of Capricorn. You bring with you this initiating energy into the new year and into the next step of your journey and your path. Oh, thank you, all of you, for being here as always. I apologize about the sniffly nose and the slight coughing, recovering from things over here. But this new moon in the sign of Sagittarius, I am so excited for this energy this week. I think there is this fiery individuation at hand here, and I think it's wonderful. Excuse me. So I'm gonna go drink some tea now, and I'm gonna continue loving on this energy as well. So next week we'll be back on Tuesday again. There will be a new intention out on Sunday. You can see that on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on the website. There is always, for those of you that are watching on Facebook, just looking at the comments and chuckling at the same time here. If you watch on Facebook, there's always an event on the Meditative Astrology Facebook page that correlates with each meditation. So if you watch this on Facebook, I'm going to encourage you to go over to the Meditative Astrology Facebook page now, go to the events tab, click on the event for next week, and just hit going, or maybe, or whatever it is that you have to hit there to have a reminder for next week's meditation, as well as help that event get out to other people. And also share this with anybody that you feel like might benefit from it. Or anybody that you feel like might want to join this journey with us. So I hope this week, I hope this changing energy and this moving energy helps you see that this journey is yours and yours alone. Sometimes I feel like we think we'll see other people's progress and we'll see where other people are going, what they've done, whether it's mundanely or spiritually or work or family-wise or whatever. We'll see other people's progress and we'll think, geez, we should have done that. Like, I should be there by now. But kind of like Tom said in our comment earlier, all the roads lead you to the same place, which is exactly where we're supposed to be. We just take different paths there, and sometimes that's easy for me to say because my path is a lot easier than some others, but it really is, it's what I think. So I hope you all have a great week. Happy new moon. And I will see you all later. Reach out at any time as always. So have a great day.